Morning, Patreon. Let's have a chat. A friend and brother who's here on Patreon shared with me, a couple months ago, an acronym that I thought was really good. It's called HALT, H-A-L-T. Hilo, Alpha, Lima, Tango. HALT. They said, you find yourself, and I don't know if it's his acronym or he got it from somebody else or something, but he's the one that shared it with me. He said, you'll find yourself oftentimes in the midst of sin, and you should stop, you should halt when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. HALT, H-A-L-T, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Boy, I thought that was very accurate. And I want to use that, there's a nugget for you, something to think about when you find yourself in the midst of battle. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? And I more and more lately have been one or multiple of those things at the same time. And I'm going to use that nugget to segue into this. We're making some changes here at Patreon, and we're making them because I, as a human being, need to make these changes. Patreon has always been a blessing for us. It helps to support our household expenses. It covers our household expenses. It supports the household. It helps fund missions that we do. It allows us to bless a couple of different ministries that are totally badass, and it just has always been a blessing. And the challenge has been to operate this blessing like a business. And we are continuously course correcting between business and blessing, just kind of walking this journey along this path of trying to balance the business on the one side and the blessing on the other, and to be a good steward of that blessing by applying sound business principles. Patreon takes a considerable amount of my time, not just in the video production, but in all facets. The video production, the shooting, the uploading, the optimization, the creating of the posts. And please understand, I don't resent any of this, but I want to explain briefly the usage of my time relating to Patreon, because it's going to be important to this conversation. Shooting anywhere between, it depends on the week, but right around 5 videos a week for Patreon. And then a Men's Group Monday every Monday night. And I love Men's Group Monday, so please don't misconstrue this as a complaint, because it's not. But the reading of the book, the development of the questions, the uploading of the questions the Friday before the Monday night review. There's all of that. The loot box, developing the loot box, reaching out to our partners and supporters to try and get you. I have a budget for the loot box, and we have been consistently able to provide considerably more than what we've budgeted for the loot box by working with partners like AdventureFrontier.com, like SojournGear.com, like Concealment, come on, that holster company whose name I can't remember right now. Right, like all these different people who have worked with us to give us things to bless y'all with. So developing and maintaining those relationships, developing the giveaway, doing the drawing, all takes time. The $10 live streams, which truthfully lately I've been really bad at. Just life keeps happening, and it's a shame when my life has gotten busy to the point of I need to schedule a block of time on a Thursday night to watch a movie with my son. It's another key point that we'll be driving towards here in a minute. So, Thursday night live streams, the $20, $50, and $100 patrons and the phone calls that we do, which I love doing and I enjoy doing. I really do. 2.5 days of my week are spent doing calls, to say nothing of production, of content, and all these other things going. And that's just the Patreon side, not to include the YouTube side, not to include the write-ups and occasional blog posts that I do on Patreon, not to include the book that I'm working on, or my wife and my kids, and my homestead. Everywhere I look, there's things that got to get done. I have been for 2 months, I need to get 2x4s or 2x6s or whatever to run as rafters on the rustic gazebo. Hasn't happened. Prosperity, which is doing well, but requires increasing amounts of my time to sustain and grow. And so part of this discussion is to illustrate for y'all how unfocused I am and my need to get focused, and to put a thought piece in your brain about the things that you should be focused on as well. I'm taking a week of the month of June. June is an off month for us. And I'm taking the first week of June as a week to focus. I was talking with a consultant recently. I paid for a call with a consultant, social media consultant, because I've been in business. I've owned my own businesses since I was 17 years old, but I've never been in business where I'm the product. And that's weird. It's really hard to scale one person. Oh, to say nothing of Bear Nation, Night Runners, charitable missions, right? Podcast guesting, developing a podcast, all these things, right? And so scaling myself to do all of these things has been a huge challenge. Bearfax, first aid kits, the masks, mitigate active shooter kits. We had a company contact us about doing custom built kits for rally cars. I'm like, that's cool. I don't know anything about it, but we can help you figure it out. But I'm pushing and pulling in all these different directions as one man. And that's a problem. So this first week will be, first week of June is just to focus. Just to figure out, what do I want to do? By the hand of the Father, I don't need to do any of it. That's awesome. That's really awesome. It's a huge blessing. And it's not a, look at me, I'm so well taken care of. It's not that. It's an incredible blessing. I could go work at Burger King and we'd get by just fine. I don't have that bone in me. I'm kind of a workaholic. I'm an aholic. I have an addictive personality, including work. And so I'm really trying to balance that. I'm literally ordering an actual old-timey time clock to hang in the office so that I can clock in and out, so that I know when to turn it off. Dad's not on the clock, okay? Because I need that mental tied to the physical, visceral, tactile, ka-chunk, clocked in, ka-chunk, not clocked in, off the clock. And so finding balance, part of finding balance and focusing is knowing, what are you gonna do? What does the target look like? What are you trying to accomplish? So I'm going to prioritize a handful of things. Patreon content, Patreon's not going anywhere. The tiers are changing, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but Patreon's not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to work on prosperity. I'm going to continue to work on bare facts. Charitable missions, yep. I can't do one a week. I can't do one a month. I might be able to do one a quarter. And that's our tentative goal right now, is one a quarter. It takes tons of money. We have $25,000 in need to repair equipment from being deployed for Hurricane Michael nonstop. 25 grand in repairs and replacements that are required of the equipment to run the mission. I don't have 25 grand. And I'm not really comfortable asking people for 25 grand, right? And so that's a whole different muscle to flex. So navigating that, figuring all that out. I've spent zero time on the back end of charitable organizations up until recently. And now I've got people telling me you need to start a 501c3 so we can start sending you money to do the things. And I'm like, I agree. When? So I'm working on it. And I'm trying to be a good steward of my giftings and my talents and my time that's given to me by the Father to do His will for my life. And part of this is refocusing on, Father, what is your will for my life? What would you have me do? Patreon tiers. $1 tier is still there. That's the cover charge. And I thank you guys for being here. You'll continue to see the video posts that we do and have access to Men's Group Monday and so forth and so on. We're adding a $3 tier. That'll get you a vinyl sticker with my logo on it. And a little handwritten note from me that you probably can't read because my handwriting is atrocious unless I really take my time. And time, as we've been discussing, is not something I have a whole lot of right now. But I am working my way back towards. The $5 tier will continue to be access to videos as well as the loot box. Loot box isn't going anywhere. I'm really proud of the loot box and the way it's grown. I'm not proud of some of the people who have signed up $5 tier and have stayed for a month and then left because they didn't win the loot box. But hey, what are you gonna do? Is what it is. I like to think that what we do here is worth $5, but to each their own. Ultimately, the market decides what value is of anything, so that's cool. We keep a lot more than we lose, so that's all right. The $10 tier, which previously included a live stream every other week that I have not been good at doing. The $10 tier now will get you access to PDFs and excerpts from the book that I'm writing, discount codes for our products like the Bear Fac and the other things that we have coming out, just different insights to everything that we have going on, and access to everything underneath that, the loot box drawing and the content that we create and so forth and so on. The big change here is really the $10 and the $20 tiers, because they've been eating so much of my time. And I say this with all love, ladies and gentlemen, in all love. I'm just stretched too thin. So the $10 tier, that live stream that was at the $10 tier is now moving to the $20 tier, and it's going to be a video hangout. We're either going to use Zoom or Google Hangouts. probably Zoom, but I don't know yet. I need to pilot it. I need to figure it out. But that way we can still hang out and chat, all of us as a group. If we want to, I can see you drinking your Yingling, and you can see me drinking my iced tea or whatever, okay? So that's going to be a video hangout, and there will be more details of that to come. But the 15-minute phone calls for the $20 patrons, unfortunately for me, I just really don't have the bandwidth, because I'm getting dozens of them a week, and I'm just not my best for you either. When I've been on a dozen calls before I get to you, it's not good for either of us. I'm worried that it's not fair to you, let alone fair to me. It's not equitable. At one point it was, it's just not anymore. I just can't do it. So I really deeply apologize, and I thank you for being here to this point. And please know that I'm trying to honor your commitment to what we do here. And I don't want to alienate anybody, but I completely understand that for some people that's not going to be an equitable agreement for them. It's not what they signed up for, literally. And I understand that. And I'm okay with some attrition. I get it. I get it. There's only so much of me. And so I'm trying to accommodate that $20 tier by doing a real exclusive video chat in a room that we can all hang out in and treat it like a mastermind, and spend an hour, 2 hours every other week hanging out, video chatting, asking the questions that we would be asking anyway on these 20-minute calls, so that A, the group can learn from it, and B, I can hit 40 of you, 50 of you in 2 hours rather than 8 of you in 2 hours. And really it's more like 6, because there's lead-in time and end time on the calls. And everybody who's ever been on a 15-minute call with me knows they're not 15-minute calls. They go long. So this will give us a little bit more of a forum to have those long-form conversations with. And I would encourage you to write down your questions and save them for this twice monthly video chat. And again, I apologize if that's not what you signed up for. I'm sorry. I just kind of at the end of my rope as far as availability goes. The $50 tier and the $100 tier will still get phone calls. The length of those calls has been diminished. If you find yourself still wanting to talk more, you can email me, and I can send you a link to Acuity where we can schedule additional calls that are outside the scope of Patreon. By the hand of the Father, my notoriety has increased, and with that, demands on my time have increased significantly. Borderline overwhelming some days. I've got 2 phones, and I'll be on the phone with one talking with somebody, and the other one's blowing up with text messages of people just want to ask a question, just want to say hi. And I want you to ask questions. I want you to say hi. But when there's 100 people a day, it's like SOB, you know. And I say that in love. I really do. I'm just kind of sometimes up to here, and it's like I can't be the best T that I am for 100 people a day. I don't know if I can be the best T that I am for 6 people a day as far as meaningful conversation goes. And that's something that I'm trying to personally navigate. I'm trying to figure that out to the best of my broken ability. How do I do this in a way that's fair to me, fair to you, and fair to my family? And that's something that I'm really, again, aholic, workaholic, alcoholic. Oh, there's Coke here? Where is it? How come it's not here, right? drumaholic, musicaholic, rockaholic, right? Like, that's what I do. And I'm having to constantly course correct from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. Constantly trying to maintain balance. And I don't want my wife and kids to have to, I'm ashamed of my wife and kids having to book time on my calendar to hang out. And that's my fault, not yours. But around that, big picture, I've got to redefine some of the boundaries. And that's what this talk is about. And I just couldn't be more clear how thankful I am for you patrons. And I mean, like, here's my eyeballs. I mean, for real, thank you. Like, you don't understand what it means to me to be entrusted with your hard-earned money, to be entrusted with your time, and to have you put the amount of faith that you put in me to minister to your worldly needs, and some of you, your spiritual needs. It's one of the greatest blessings in my life, and I really, truly try and be a good steward of it. I feel like, you ever see how they make saltwater taffy? They just take this big block of stuff and throw it on these things, and all it does is stretch it and stretch it and stretch it. That's me. And I have to navigate that going forward. And part of that is, like I said, redefining the use of my time and these relationships that we have. And they are relationships. I mean, I know more about some of y'all, and some of y'all know more about me than some of my best friends know, because of the conversations that we've had. And I've been blessed to have them. I need 6 more of me and another 100 hours in the day in order to hit everybody. And I don't have it. And in part, I'm fearful of having my joy robbed in the doing of. And I don't want that. I've received all kinds of counsel regarding this. I've prayed over it. This has been months in the works, and this is where we are. I've been told that I should split my YouTube channel, one spiritual, one preparedness. I'm not doing that. I've been told that I shouldn't do any calls at all. Not doing that. I've been told all kinds of things, and I'm just trying to strike the balance. So, you know, and I guess lastly, I'll close with this. Just full-on truth, which is all this ever is. I get more and more people seeking my guidance on a spiritual level, and I get that. Your vibe attracts your tribe, and we put our spirituality out there. It's out there. It's part of who we are, and it's written on our hearts, and it's loud. And I'm cool with it. I couldn't have it any other way. You don't light a lamp and put it underneath a basket, right? But I get more and more people seeking our counsel in spiritual matters. And I truthfully don't know how to navigate that. Because on the one hand, I want to assist to the best of my ability. On the other hand, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a pastor. And I don't know the first thing about being one. And so I've been praying to the Father, just train me. Whatever it is that you'd have me do, train me. And those were his words, not mine. Just hit me like a ton of bricks one day. I just need you to train me for whatever it is that you have for me. Train me up to do it so that I can do it and do it well. And I see your emails about this spiritual question and that spiritual question, and I see your comments, and I see the text messages, and I have the voicemails from people who have called and who I've missed, and I see it, and I know that there's a yearning of people to reach out, who are reaching out, and they need help, and they need guidance, and they want comfort, and they need somebody to pray with, and it's the honor of my lifetime to be able to pray with y'all. I guess, it took me 100 times from 100 different people to hear T, you have a ministry. There's a part of me that cringes at that word, just like there's a part of me that cringes at Christian, because I know what followers of Messiah look like, and I know what Christians look like, and most Christians are just doing a piss poor job of it. And we're not going to go down that road and start assigning blame. It's just a fact. Hell, I do a piss poor job of it sometimes, but I'm trying, okay? And so I'm trying with all of this. I'm praying daily to the Most High. Just train me. Just give me what I need today to do your things, to do your will, to put a smile on your face. And being trusting in his faithfulness that he will continue to provide. He always has. He always will. That things will be okay. They always have been. They always will be. And to just do his things his way for his kingdom, because it's not an accident that I'm here doing these things. And the biggest challenge in my life right now is striking a balance amongst all of this. And so you've heard me babble on for the last half an hour about all this, and the point of all this is there are changes here on Patreon, and they're not made in jest. They're not made as marketing ploys. They're not changes that were undertaken lightly and with whimsy. These have been thought about and prayed over for months. There have been myriad people sought for their counsel on these decisions, and it is something that at times has just eaten me up, but I have to do it. And so for everybody who's still here, I thank you. And for everybody who's going, I thank you, and I understand. So with that, shalom and blessings.